The paper I'm using is 300 GSM cold press 100% cotton watercolor paper, and the paints I'm using are from Daniel Smith. First, I'm dampening the paper. I'm applying a large amount of water across the surface. Next, I'm using this brush to dab in some cadmium yellow medium hue. This yellow is from Daniel Smith and is highly dispersive, so be mindful not to add it too much. We can just apply it lightly in a few spots rather than covering very large areas. Then I switched to another brush and loaded with Shadow Violet, also from Daniel Smith. When working with darker colors like this, try to avoid using large brushes. They can hold too much water, which might dilute the pigment and make the color look less intense. Using a little thinner brush can also avoid an overpowering dark tone that can throw off the whole balance of the painting. Since the paper is still very wet, you don't need to control the water too precisely. As long as you're not overloading the brush beyond what it can hold, you're fine. Now I'm taking another brush to add a bit of Quinacridone Gold. We can place it gently near the shadow violet or dab it into blank areas. This color spreads really easily too, so just be a little careful with how much you add. It helps add depth to the lighter yellow we applied earlier, giving the painting more dimension. Shadow Violet is a granulating color, so you can actually use the next watercolor you add to help push that granulation even further, encouraging it to separate and reveal those subtle undertones. Just remember all these background colors should be added when the paper is still very white. If it starts to dry, you may get hard edges or textures that disrupt the smoothness of the wash. If there's still too much black in certain areas, you can repeat the previous steps by adding more color. At this stage though, the paper is drier than before, so make sure to keep the water level low on your brush when applying the paint. Also, as you can see here, some added colors may look a bit unnatural. In that case, we can just use a clean, nearly dry brush to soften the edges. Right after adding the colors, I use a clean and dry brush to lift some highlights. For each lift, we should clean and dry the brush to avoid accidentally reapplying pigment back onto the paper. The paints I'm using are light staining, so even as the paper is getting drier, the color can still be lifted fairly easily, like this. That's why the choice of the paints really matters in this painting. Lifting may take a few rounds, but the more you lift from the same area, the cleaner it gets. Make sure your strokes follow a similar direction, otherwise the lifted area can start to look chaotic. I'm going to lift multiple areas here and to create a glow in the sky. Even though no new color is added, this stage plays a big role in enhancing the overall painting. Lifting is a unique watercolor technique. It's not just for correcting mistakes as a main theme. It can also be used to create things like mist, a soft glow, or even sense of atmosphere and space. In this case, I'm not simply just erasing, I'm refining the background by adding a gentle softness and depth. And also, there's no need to rush while lifting, especially using non-staining pigments like this. You don't have to finish it all in one go. I was lifting as I went, and also I was still thinking through my next moves, and the timing was turned out fine. Finally, I'll paint a few small elements like flowers or birds. You can sketch them lightly with a pencil beforehand if it helps you visualize the placement. You can paint anything you like in the foreground, even just simple silhouettes. I used ivory black for the buildings, then add some white ink to create the windows. I fill them in with various colors for some contrast and variety.